It's a perfect Central Florida afternoon. What a great way to start the weekend. The big race tomorrow is the 66th running of the Mobil 1, 12 Hours of Sebring, presented by Advanced Auto Parts. But for now, our focus and concentration are on the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge runners. There are 37 of them. This is the second round of their championship, coming off a 4-hour contest a few weeks ago at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. This is the Alan J Automotive Network 120, and it's live from Sebring, Florida, on the IMSA TV and radio platforms, being brought together for this live coverage across the world. No breaks, no geo-blocks, just the action. Hello everybody, this is a great day to go motor racing. Temperature rising, up, revs on the cars going up as well. Jeremy Shaw alongside me, John Hindhaugh, in the IMSA broadcast booth. Our Continental Tire pit lane reporters are Dinah Binks and Shea Adam. And the safety car, or the pace car as it is now, it will become the safety car if it is needed, heads on to the second of 2 formation laps for a field that is chock full of quality. Jeremy Shaw from front and Spencer Pumpelly right to the back.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating context. The pole-sitting car, Spencer Pumpelly aboard that RS1 Porsche Cayman. That car has had a 15 kilos added to its minimum weight after its victory at Sebring. Interesting to see whether that will make any difference at a long run here on the Continental tires. But even with the extra weight, that car weighs in at 1,305 kilograms. The other contenders, particularly the Ford Mustangs, 1,530. So that's more than 200 kilograms, 450 pounds probably heavier on the Fords than on that Porsche Cayman. So that could be that could certainly be a factor on a pretty warm afternoon here in Central Florida.
3 different classes here. This is the first time we'll have seen 3 different classes at Sebring in this category of racing. The STs we are used to. It's the final year for those street tuner cars. We welcome the TCR, this new global touring car formula. It's not a huge field, and there's not much variety. Audi and 1 Volkswagen, but plenty of new cars. 14 manufacturers we worked out that were building these cars around the world. Now, they're not all eligible because they don't all sell cars in the US, but there's a bit of excitement coming on with Hyundai, Kia as well have a car. We've got Honda, a couple of other manufacturers who are making noises about coming in, including Mazda, BMW as well, and we'd love to see those guys there. And there's a very pretty little Alfa Giulietta that did go through the homologation and balance of performance test at the end of last year here, that is just waiting for somebody to take it out and give it a good thrashing around a circuit. I'm excited about TCR. The cars look great, they sound great, and Jeremy, they're quick.
They are very quick. I mean, they're only the quickest of the cars are quicker than some of the slower GS cars. That's how fast they are, significantly quicker than ST, and they are relatively affordable too. They're all front-wheel drive. They're all, it's strictly controlled, cost controlled, if you like. The engines are supposed to last at least a full season without any sort of tampering with them or rebuilding or anything expensive like that. So they should be pretty cost effective, and that I think is going to be the key to the growth of that class.
And at the front of the VS cars, now that's a global formula as well. This is the SRO GT4 formula, taken on by IMSA a couple of seasons ago. There were people, I would think back to it now, saying, oh, that's going to kill the class there, that's it, it's the end. And we've got how many of them? 26 of them here.
It's a huge field, 26 cars. There were 27 on the entry list. 1 didn't make it. And it's a full field of very competitive cars and very competitive drivers.
Nice variety as well. There's a few more GT4s that aren't here that could be. Well, we're waiting for the new Aston Martin Vantage to become available in the second half of next year, as well as 1 or 2 other cars. But that is all in the future. In the here and now, the green flag is in hand and about to be waved to get the Alan J Automotive Network 120 underway, and it is in the air. Green flag. We're racing at Sebring, and the field thunders. the IMSA broadcast booth and down towards the first corner, and the pole sitter Spencer Pumpelly in the Porsche is just about holding on with AMG, Mercedes, Ford, McLaren, Audi, all chasing the spot that Spencer Pumpelly has as they go through the first corner. Here come the TCR cars into turn one as well. Britt Casey Jr. just holding off Rodrigo Sales. 3 wide through turn 3. I don't think so, gentlemen. Calm down, please, will you? We've got 2 hours of this to go. They have sorted themselves out at the sharp end of the field as they go under the Corvette Bridge and down towards the hairpin for the first time of asking.
And number 72 car came here way after the rest of the field. It wasn't up to speed, to full speed either, as it came across the start-finish line. So problem.
Mike Vess.
Yeah. I think it's Jason Hart who's actually starting that car, which is a change of starting driver. But yeah, they had some problems yesterday. There was an incident when the lost oil pressure going to turn one also got hit from behind and nudged into the wall. So quite a lot of work on that car overnight by Fast Track Racing.
So the early moments of this race, fast, furious, exciting if you're taking the start, and a split in tactics for some of the teams. Not everyone putting their fastest driver in. Often we see that the non-pro goes in the car first and gets their driving time out of the way. There's a bit of a split here. Spencer Pumpelly is very quick. Alexander Premat is very, very quick. Further back down the field, Alan Brynjolfsson, not the quickest guy in that car, so he'll do his driving time. Looking down, Bryce Ward's made a clean start in the number 57 Mercedes, and he'll hand over halfway through the stint, or perhaps a little bit early after the 45 minutes is up. Russell Ward will hand over to, in the other HTP, the Winwood HTP car, to Faulkner. Damien will be chomping on the bit to get into the car. Owen Trinkler did take the start of the race, and our thoughts are with the Ted Giovanis Motorsport team. Had a bit of a bad week so far with the Debbie, the wife of one of their truck drivers, Ron, who has sadly passed away this week, and so they are all racing with heavy heart. We think of you all, ladies and gents, as the first lap has been completed. Pumpelly from Premat, from Patrick Gallagher, from Paul Holton, Porsche, Merc, Ferrari, McLaren. It's a nice little bit of variety there, and completely indicative of this series. And at the moment, Spencer Pumpelly just controlling the pace from the dark red AMG GT behind. What a beautiful day for motor racing. A little bit of low-lying fog this morning, which made life interesting, but also for some beautiful pictures. Spencer Pumpelly just pushing out a little bit. These cars, Jeremy, in GS, variety of cars, and they make their lap times in different ways. So the Porsche that is leading out, mid-engine, good traction off the corners, very nimble indeed. The Mercedes-Benz front-engined with a little bit of a BOP adjustment to help release some more of the torque from that big 4-litre engine. Twin turbocharged, that car, of course. Oh, big slide from the Mustang in the middle of the pack. I think that was Nate Stacey who was having a slidey moment in 11th position in the number 60, but he did get the car back straight again with the Continental tyres scrambling for grip on the dirt.
So settling down at the front here, farther back in the TCR, it's Britt Casey Jr. who held on to the lead in the number 77 Compass Audi, ahead of Rodrigo Sales and Roy Block. In ST, Nick Gallant made a big move at the start. He was in the third position at the start of the race. He's moving up into the lead in car number 81. That is the Bmw BMW, ahead of the pole sitter Nate Norenberg, mini car number 37.
And the start is under review. Not sure why, but the start is under review. We'll get you the news on that as soon as we can. Normally means somebody has broken ranks and overtaken before the start-finish line. So Spencer Pumpelly with half a second of a lead over Alexander Premat. Russell Ward in 12th position. just going past a moment or two ago, was side by side with Alan Brynjolfsson. I think he might have gone by him, actually. Yes, he has. So that's a position made up for the 33 Mercedes AMG GT. Just underlining what Jeremy was saying earlier on, Britt Casey Jr. is the leading TCR car in the 77 Compass Racing Machine, and he now is beginning to put pressure on Brent Mosing in the 65 Mercedes AMG ahead of him. And he can't hang about, because Rodrigo Sells in the 74 car, the team car to that leading TCR car, is only about a second or so behind him, and he'll be wanting to underline his superiority over his teammate. Not a bad start for Patrick Gallagher, sitting in third position at the moment. The leading pair just stretching away a tiny bit. He's looking in his rear view mirror for Paul Holton in the 76 Compass Racing McLaren. And in ST, it is still Nick Galante who snatched the lead early on. Got by Nate Norenberg. Mike Lamara in third in the other Mini, the 73. So 37 Mini second, 73 third, but both sitting behind the 81 of Nick Galante in the BMW. Now, coming down the back straight, Paul Holton has got Tyler McQuarrie in his wheel tracks. He pulled over to the far left of the track to try and keep the far right of the track, excuse me, to try and keep the Audi in behind him. And now the Audi pulls to the right-hand side to try and get the run on the car ahead. Nate Norenberg was on pole position and has dropped down to, no, in fact, he is in second place in ST. But it is the white and blue BMW that leads the ST category, with the Minis following along in team formation behind. Matter has made up a position as well, and he's gone by Jared Selinski in the Porsche, then up into fourth position in ST. Battles throughout the field, and the Audi is going through and taking fourth position. Tyler McQuarrie round the outside under the Corvette bridge and heading down towards the hairpin. Made that look very easy indeed. Slight mistake by Paul Holton coming out of the 3-4-5 complex. No further invitation required for Patrick Gallagher, who is the new third place driver. Clean move, smart move, job done.
Job done. The first two, they pulled out over a second and a half over Patrick Gallagher, but he's settled in nicely into that third position. He's very mindful of the fact that this is a long race. It's a much heavier car than the Porsche Cayman that leads the race. Compared to the Mercedes, kind of a 92 that's running in second place, that car weighs in at 1,405 kilograms. That's against the 530 of the Ford Mustang. So Patrick, I spoke to him yesterday, he feels really good about the longevity of the tires working on that Mustang, as long as he doesn't push too hard too soon. So I think he's settled into a nice pace there in third position, holding off the McLaren and the Audi.
Pit stop for Mike Vess, who didn't get the start in the classic BMW.
He did get the start, but he was off the pace at the back of the field and has brought that car onto pit lane now.
And it doesn't look like a regular pit stop, as this Continental Tire pit lane report will tell us, Adam.
They've got the engine cover off, and they are actually taking valves off to see how much liquid is left in certain parts of the engine. They're adding water, so that's not good if they're having a slight cooling issue with this BMW. Yesterday, when they had the issue in turn one, the team wasn't too worried because they do have a spare car, so they have lots of spare parts around should they need them, but this is certainly not going to help their chances of getting a top 10 finish.
No, indeed. They are out of the running in just a 2-hour race. It would take carnage for them to get back into it, but they'll turn the car around, get it back out. What this will become, Jeremy, is basically 1 hour, 50 minutes of a test session for that team. Shame for Mike Vess.
It is, yeah. Because they've worked awfully hard overnight to get that car back onto the grid again, and now it's coming to perhaps an early halt, perhaps not. They'll certainly be hoping to get that car back out again and learn some more about it.
ST leaders are side by side going down the back straight. The Mini pulls to the right-hand side out of the draft and using the slipstream to try and get there. It's slightly incongruous, actually, when you see the BMW, the 81, and when the Mini pulls out, it's so much taller and bigger than the BMW. Quite extraordinary. 37, a very famous competition number for Mini. Monte Carlo Rally 1966, all of that stuff down into turn one, goes down the inside, almost gets an overlap, but can't make it happen. And Nate Norenberg, the pole position sitter, is toughing it out, trying to get alongside the left rear quarter panel of the BMW that leads in the ST category. Got a little bit wide into the third corner. Oh, there's a touch. Oh. Norenberg's nailed him, and that is right out of the police stop video that he was watching last night.
Yeah, that's a bit naughty. Gallant left him lots of room there on the inside into turn three. That compromised his exit a little bit, but as he went into the carousel turn there, he was clearly nailed from behind by the Mini JCW.
Yeah, Nate Norenberg has come off worst, and he's got damage to the right front of that Mini. He gets the overlap, goes down the inside. Yeah, there's not enough room.
Silly. No, that's silly.
And needed to just back out of that there. We are 11 minutes in to a 2-hour race.
Yeah,
not smart.
Smart, particularly when you've got the pole position car. You know it's fast. And you know, we could see there that Nick Gallant had a bit of a tank slapper coming out of turn three. The tail end of the car was wagging one way and then the other, but he got it all under control. It means he had to slow down a little bit more than he would have liked for the carousel turn. Was kind of committed to the inside, but upon reflection, he'll say, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Probably shouldn't have done that one.
When you're the car behind, you're in the position to be able to react. It wasn't as if the 81 had cut across his nose, Jeremy. He'd held his line.
Yeah. And he'd left him plenty of room at turn three.
Oh, the previous corner, yes, absolutely agree.
So that was the pole sitter from this race was the Mini. That's going to be a little bit further back, and the race winner from Daytona. That's certainly not the way that team wanted to start this race, but hopefully, having led the race from the beginning here, great start for Nick. Hopefully the car isn't damaged too much, they can get it back and get back into competition. But that is going to put Mike Lamara, former series champion, into the lead of the race in car number 73.
That incident has been reviewed very quickly indeed by race control, and the 37 car has been given a drive-through for, and I quote, incident responsibility with that contact with the 81. Love it. Way to do it. Look at it, Tishan. Going to penalise somebody, get it done straight away. Well done, race control. And so Nate Norenberg in the Mini will have to come through pit lane once the car is over. I think the car's probably on its way to pit lane to be looked at anyway. That won't count as he's drive-through. At the head of the field, Alexander Premat in second place is just under a second behind Spencer Pumpelly in the red, white and black number 28 Porsche for the RS1 team. Car looking an absolute picture, that RS1. Love the just a slightly tweaked livery from what we've seen in the past. Works so well with the GT4 Cayman. In comes the 37 Mini, and Shea, that's gone past his pit, so he's doing the drive-through first, is he?
He must do the drive-through first, yes. The team signaled him to go straight on through, but he is coming by the next time through, and they do have new tires ready. Damage
on both sides of that car.
Yeah, well, he hit him pretty square, and then with fizzing first with the right front, and then to contact front. Where's the leader? Premat went through on his own, I think.
No, gone through. Definitely both gone through.
I beg pardon.
Don't worry.
Wasn't paying attention.
Don't panic me like that, Jeremy. No, absolutely fine.
The team are more worried about it.
Yes, now they've got what? Jeremy Shaw says he's gone missing.
What I was going to say just before that was...
sorry, Alan Brynjolfsson.
Whoops.
Alan Brynjolfsson off the circuit in the vault. There's no mistaking that car. You don't have to see very much of it at all to know which one it is. It's the number 7 Ford, and he was running in, well, certainly on the
13th he was running.
Yeah, just outside the top 10.
Well,
Inside,
yes.
Almost
if
gets
he wasn't trying to take a Ford before,
make it happen. And Nate Norenberg, the pole position sitter, is
Good
toughing it out.
What I was going to say before that little excitement, however, was I was so impressed with Spencer Pumpelly's pace at the front of the field. He set the fastest lap on each of the first 5 laps of the race, and here's the progression. It was 1 minute 13.68, 1 minute 13.38, 1 minute 13.27, 13.25. Really super consistency. That's the experience of Spencer Pumpelly, not taking too much out of that car in the early stages, running a pace that's good enough just to edge, well, not really edge away, because Alex Premat is staying right with him there in the Mercedes.
Good news for the continuity of the race is that Alan Brynjolfsson, not good news for the team, has gone behind the wall out on the circuit, on the far side of the track. I think it was between turns 10 and 13, somewhere around that area. Just a quick flash of the very bright yellow car. The third place TCR of Roy Block, the Audi RS3, LMS with its right front fender, the extension just flapping a little bit, looking rather like a sort of annoyed penguin, just flapping its flipper a little bit. And also coming in is another one of the Audis. This is the Don Istuk number 11 Audi RS3.
Yeah, the RS Works entry, that's on 10 as well.
That didn't look to be a regular stop. The team member was straight underneath that car as the RS1 came in leading the race, comes around to complete lap number 7. It was 0.8 of a second. He crosses the line now. There goes Premat. It's 0.9. It's give a little, take a little from those two. Patrick Gallagher's holding on to third position in that number 39 grey Audi, mostly grey R8.
No, there's actually switched positions, those two, because the Audi's got ahead.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Tyler McQuarrie's got ahead of the Ford. Yes, I said Patrick's name as it went across the line, and the Audi popped straight through. So McQuarrie now at 5.5 seconds from second place, and he's got half a second on Patrick Gallagher in the number 8 Ford. Paul Holton still holding on to 5th position, but he's under pressure from Cory Fergus in the 69 McLaren. So those two McLarens battling together. James Clay in the BMW number 82 is in 7th. Owen Trinkler for TGM in 8th, the 46 car, and Owen is with James Clay and beginning to pressure there as well. Then there's another pair of cars battling for 9th position, Martin Bartley and Nate Stacey, both in Fords, the 80 and the 60, and a puncture for the 74. That is the...
Was in second place.
Yeah, I was just about to say it. Bad luck for Rodrigo Sales. He's going to ever be known as Rodrigo Sales for me now. The Compass 74 car into the pit lane with a left rear tyre that is barely hanging on the rim. And has there been contact there? Has he run a curb? But that car was a handful coming round the right-hander of turn 17 Sunset, because you're loading up that left rear, and Rodrigo's done a good job to get that car into the pit lane. So Britt Casey Jr. now leads from Roy Block with that flapping front bodywork right-hand front. In third now, Kieran O'Rourke in the number 10 Audi. This is in TCR. Luke Rumberg in the Seoul Volkswagen Golf GTI. TCR, the 31 car, is about 3 seconds further back. In ST, Mike Lamara in the 73 Mini gets the lead after the coming together ahead of him. Max Faulkner, who started at the back of the ST field, now up to second. And Jared Selinsky in Mini number 52 is in third position. There's a 2/3 of a Mercedes 3-pointed star in the road leading up to turn 10. It's not quite on the racing line, but it's been broken off one of the AMGs. It's not the 56 of Jeff Mosing, who is challenging at the moment. That bright orange car challenging for 16th position with James Cox in the Porsche right ahead of him as they come to complete the lap. Justice and head towards the pit wall, trying to get the best line into the first corner. Mosing in the tangerine and black AMG gets the overlap. Can he tighten it up on the exit? I think he can. That 56 car's got grip, and it'll be side by side going into turns 2 and 3, and that will favour the car on the left-hand side of the track. Very fair driving indeed from James Cox. Oh, and then as I say that, they come together. Curse of the commentator. And through goes Stephen Phillips in the Aston Martin number 99.
And what happened there? Jim Cox there just got a bit of a tank slapper coming off that corner, and the car was going back and forth. As it went one way to the other, unfortunately, the number 56 car was right alongside, and Jeff Mosing was completely the innocent victim of that. And
Jeff's got suspension damage to the right rear. The car is crabbing on the grass as he tries to make it back onto the racing circuit. Oh, that is such an unlucky thing. And not again, Jeremy, that was absolutely not deliberate from Jim Cox.
No, he just lost, basically, just for an instant lost control of the car. It was wagging around behind him, and while it was wagging, number 56 car Jeff Mosing was trying to zig, and they came together.
The right rear wheel and tyre combination is adding a bit of rear wheel steer to the 56 of Jeff Mosing. Jeff on the inside. And Jim being very, very fair in the Porsche, left room on the inside. Mosing was able to tighten the exit of the corner, got alongside. Jim not prepared to give the corner up, which is absolutely his right, but he gave plenty of room on the inside of the left-hander, and then just got offline.
Yeah, just the car, just the back end just came around. He got the power on coming down that corner, and he kind of, well, actually overcorrected the car.
Yeah, I was going to say, not sure where he had a bit of left-hand steering in there. 33 problem for Russell Ward, spinning on the far side of the circuit. In fact, no, that's coming out the final corner. That was my first instinct there, and then I thought, I can't remember that Marshall's post on the inside. So Russell Ward spinning away a decent position. He's dropped down behind his dad. That was Bryce Ward going past him in the 57 car. So father leads son at the moment. I just noticed a penalty for the number 11 car, which was in the pit lane, spinning the wheels whilst on the jacks. And that will be a drive-through, but that car's coming back in anyway because the whole of the front bodywork is loose on that car, and it looks like the under tray as well. Incident for the 38 Porsche and the 56 AMG under review.
Yeah, there was certainly no malice there, certainly from the...
Oh, there's another coming together. Mercedes on Porsche.
5 and 3.
That is an extraordinary piece of driving. Joe Robillard and Craig Lyons. Craig Lyons having a horrible start to his season. Had a big accident at the Daytona opener and just nailed the back. Oh, Robillard.
That's bizarre.
Missed his braking point by a country mile. He may well say that the Porsche braked early, of course. There'll be two sides to the story.
That's not relevant, unfortunately.
Incident responsibility is on the guy behind, I'm afraid, and Craig Lyons is, if he can get that Mercedes out of there, will be getting a penalty. I'm fairly certain on that one. Pits are closed, and we are under our first full course yellow. We are just over 20 minutes into the race, 22.5 minutes into the race for those of you who want to keep notes of that. And it looks like the corner worker is calling for a tow. Craig Lyons right in the wheel tracks of the Porsche. Porsche on the racing line, brakes, Craig doesn't.
And then he just drives into the side of him and drives out. That's just extraordinary. Unless there's some sort of a braking problem on that number 3 car. Maybe there is, you know.
Well, that's all I can think of there.
Yeah.
Because it's not even just so much the first contact. No. It's the fact that after the first contact, there seemed to be no attempt to slow the car down. Amazingly,
and there have been some braking issues on these cars.
I'm not sure the Mercedes is. I've known that the Mercedes has necessarily had one. I know there's been a couple on the one or two others of the cars. Well, that just an extraordinary thing to happen. Craig Lyons then, put aside the first incident of him driving up the back of the Porsche. When the Porsche is sideways alongside him, there appears to be no attempt to slow down and disengage.
No, that's the odd thing there.
So it was either a stuck throttle, brakes that won't work, bit of brake fade, or maybe just a bit of brain fade, not sure.
And the fast track racing guys from classic BMW got Mike Vest's BMW car number 72 back out into the fray. It's a couple of laps down, but the car sounded fairly good as it came past us that lap. Do you remember that car started behind everybody else, ran a couple of slow laps then of pit lane visitor?
Yes, but always not well with that car, Shea, and it took a little top up to get it back out onto the racetrack.
It was a bit thirsty. About 6 bottles of water went into it, and then the engine stopped spitting it back out, and then they sent the car back. But it was a bit of a rude awakening. Jason Hart was still walking to the pit box when he noticed that his car was sitting there.
Oh, Robbie, still sparkling, like a bit of lemon or lime in that, sir. Thank you. Missed his brake at the circuit. We'll get the pass around done to allow the pace car safety to pick up the leader and make sure nobody loses out with this intervention.
Yeah, there will be a couple. The number 81 car with the pole sitter in ST, that had been lapped by our race leader, along with one of the TCR cars, and also the Nate Laurenberg Mini that was the aggressor in that incident between number 81 and 37 earlier on. So I think both of those two should be able to get the pass around and rejoin the tail end of the lead.
Father Leeds son at the moment just tweeted at IMSA Radio and said, all right, who was it? Who jinxed all the Mercedes on at the same time? Did feel a bit like that.
Wasn't it bizarre?
Alexander Premat, the best of the Mercedes AMG GTs, in second place, will be right on the tail of Spencer Pumpelly. And third place, Tyler McQuarrie in the Audi, was a little bit further back, but of course he'll close up under this safety car as well. In the classes, Britt Casey Jr. holds a decent lead and has had three GS cars behind him, between himself and Roy Block in second place. So 77 Compass Audi from 75 Compass Audi. Third, Kieran O'Rourke in the number 10 Audi TCR that he shares with the Eurosports.com racing team. And ST, Mike Lamara, will have Max Faulkner right behind him on the restart in the Porsche. So that's 73 Mini, 21 Porsche, and Jared Zielinski in the 52 car will be in third. Now, will there be takers? It's not early enough to get the drivers out, but it could do a top-up. Shea Adam is down in the pit lane for this Continental Tire pit report.
Yeah, we have takers. We've got the leader in, the number 28, Spencer Pumpelly, staying behind the wheel, but they are giving him fuel, and at the very least, they are doing front tires. I can't quite see if they're working on the back. That damaged 3 of Craig Lyons has made it all the way back to the pit, is in as well. We've got 2 Aston Martins, one of the McLarens, the Compass 360R Race 1. We've got one of the Murillo racing cars as well as the BMW. James Clay staying behind the wheel. Fuel only for him. The tire change is done on the 28 West fronts, and Spencer Pumpelly goes back out. He leaves his pit box before anybody else does, but he was a bit further down than the competition as well, so it's going to be a drag race. The next one out is the BMW, the number 82, still driven by James Clay, and they get out well ahead of the car that came in from second. That was the 92 Mercedes. I think they've done a driver change up there. Alexander Premat has gotten out for the time being. Mark Ramsey will be getting in.
We could confirm that with Diana Binks, who's down that end of the pit lane. Diana, what's going on with you?
Yes, I'm up here. Alexander Premat's just jumped out, and that 92 is now back out with Mark behind the wheel. A very slick pit stop that looked like. They took obviously fuel and tyres, and I shall try and get a word with Alexander in just a second. But pit stops up this end. All the other cars have now gone back out on track, and I can just see the number 65 heading back out there with the Mossing car.
Thank you very much indeed, Diana Binks, for that Continental Tire pit lane report. So Mike Ramsey has taken that 92 car out. That means that at some stage, Alexander Premat has got to get back in there. But that's ultimately, you know, that's pretty much a free pit stop. They've re-topped the car up. Mike will go and do his 45 minutes, and then they'll either...
Mark Ramsey.
Mark Ramsey.
Yeah, who's very new to racing. Yeah. So, you know, that's I think there's a good benchmark for him. He knows what the car is capable of, and as long as he doesn't get carried away with himself, you know, he's not going to be on the pace of someone like Alex Premat this early in his career. He's just starting out in the sport. But it's a great team there at Conquest, well, Quest Racing it is actually, but Eric Bachelar's team running that car.
Oh, wow.
You know, there's a lot of experience there, and Mark Ramsey has certainly picked a very good group to go with. And they plan now to get, as you say, get that 45 minutes in for Mark, and then for Alex Premat to go hard at the end of the race. And if the cautions fall their way, hey, it might work out in their favour. But you know, at this stage in that program's existence, they're not looking to win races necessarily. At this stage, it's just gain some experience for Mark Ramsey.
How old is Alex Premat now?
Alex Premat is now 35.
And he's a gold driver?
Don't know, honestly.
I thought platinum drivers weren't allowed in.
Well, yeah, he must not be a platinum driver then.
So
it must be a gold. Yeah, I'm not sure. I make a note of those yet.
I shall ask elsewhere for that. He must have been downgraded to a gold.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done. He's been racing V8 supercars in Australia for the last couple of years, but on and off at least. Yeah. And then running this exotic racing series for basically and driving exotic sports cars out at various tracks around the country, primarily I think at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There's a whole slew of different supercars you can drive out there, and Mark Ramsey was one of the guys who went through that school,
right,
and now decided to take it one step further and go racing. There's a whole bunch of people are doing the same sort of thing nowadays. Some great opportunities to drive these fabulous sports cars.
Way back when, of course, he was a LMP1 driver, so that would have made him automatically a platinum because he was driving a works car. V8 supercars drivers don't always get, in fact, I'm not sure any of them have been rated as platinum or get rated gold. He won the Endurance Championship with Shane van Gisbergen a couple or 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a two-time winner of the, well, a winner of the Macau Grand Prix back in 2004, ran A1 GP, you know, 506.
Coming down the corner,
and he kind of, you know, won the Nürburgring 24 hours as well. You know, he's got a pretty.
Did he win the 24? The Nürburgring 24?
11, I think.
Yeah, I seem to remember that. It was certainly after 2007. I've been doing them since then. So we open the pits now for the other category, TCR and ST. And Shea Adam has cars heading down towards her, including the TCR leader, Brett Casey Jr. Excuse me.
He's the only one I've seen on the pit lane, and he's down, stopping very near to where Diana Binks is. But from what I can see from my vantage point, here and there for Brett Casey Jr. It's not time for Tom Long yet.
Diana?
Yes, I am up here. No, the driver is not getting out of the car. The guys have just topped up, as Shea said, with fuel, and they're just putting on tyres now and about to put although there's a slight delay at the front, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. That tyre is back on, and they are soon going to be ready. Problem with that front left. But you can probably hear it in the background. So yeah, a slight delay for them. They'll be disappointed with that. Car's just been dropped down now, and it's just fired up again, and you can hear it just leaving.
Thanks, Diana. Yeah, 5 lug nuts on that right front wheel, just proving a little bit recalcitrant. Looked like the wheel gun might have just been jammed for a moment, but I mean, he's lost a bit of time, but we're under safety car. What was interesting to me there, Roy Block and Kieran O'Rourke went through. Britt Casey Jr. staying in the car, but taking some more fuel and putting on a new set, at least a new pair of front Continental tyres. In ST, Mike Lamara, Max Faulkner and Jared Selinski stayed out.
That's right, so we'll have a new class leader there in TCR. That will be Roy Block, the Florida-based Argentinian, despite that name. It was Britt Casey Jr. who gave up the lead. He's going to have a birthday, 20th birthday, actually not tomorrow, on Sunday in actual fact, for the Chicago area native from Barrington, Illinois. Really talented youngster is Britt Casey Jr. His first win, he's been racing in the ST class for Freedom Autosport the last 2 or 3 years. Should have had a win at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, but Tom Long, his co-driver, gave up that win on the last lap to one of his teammates. So he finally scored his first win at last time out in the Rolex 24 meeting at Daytona. It was well overdue victory for Britt Casey Jr. Many more to come for that youngster.
Yeah, he's an impressive young man, isn't he? Quick learner. Picks things up very, very quickly indeed.
That Trump-supported Audi RS3. So he'll give up the lead now, but he's the fastest of the TCR drivers out there at the moment by much more experience than any of the other guys. But hats off here to Don Youngberg yesterday. They had a good run in qualifying in that number 31 Volkswagen, and he was trying to get his way into third place on the grid on the final lap. He was actually up in the first sector, but I spoke to him afterwards with a wry smile. He looked at me and said, I didn't realize it was that good a lap, otherwise I'd have stayed out there, but I didn't think it was that much quicker than the lap before, so I slowed down and brought it into the pit lane. Turns out to be a mistake, because he could have been higher up than he was on the grid that was 4th. But good run it's been for the youngster. He and his brother Tanner both more used to driving modified stock cars on the short ovals in the Virginia area. So this is quite a sea change for those Rumberg boys, and they've got great attitudes, and they haven't got a lot of experience yet, but they are getting faster with each outing in that little VW. It's a good-looking car, and it's the only VW in amongst the Audis here. And so the order 14th place overall right now, although the field will be shuffled around restart. But it's Roy Block who leads in car number 75 in TCR, for number 10 of Kieran O'Rourke, number 77 of Britt Casey Jr., and then Luke Rumberg.
Back to the green flag, it's in the air, and we are racing 1 hour, 24 minutes and 42 seconds to go as they cross the line. Patrick Gallagher, Cory Fergus, Owen Trinkler up into 3rd position in the 46 TGM AMG. None of those guys have stopped. The first of the pit stops cars is Spencer Pumpelly down in 13th position. So this is where everyone's got to keep their wits about them and watch what's going on and be mindful of who's made pit stops and who hasn't. Big bouncy curb moment for Nate Stacey, who was defending against Chase Briscoe, and I don't think he held on to that position. 15 Ford passing the 60 Ford for 5th position. Beautiful sunshine, hot temperatures, great racing. Ford, McLaren, Mercedes, Ford, BMW. Owen Trinkler, the sole 3-pointed star in the top half dozen at the moment, doing a great job. Lots of dust being thrown up at the exit of the hairpin as everyone is using all of the circuits and a bit more. Chase Briscoe did go through on the 60 Core Racing, the Roush Core Racing car. White with the green stripe over the top. So another Mercedes-Benz then moving up. Now in ST, it's a great battle with the BMW. Nick Galanti right in the mix again. He's back up to 4th position.
But I think, and Mike Lamara is back in contention now with that full course caution, but I think it's Mike Lamara who leads the way. As number 74 car of Rodrigo Sales, because he's way back through past some of these ST cars.
Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting. What you will notice if you are watching that car fighting its way back is just how quick some of these TCR cars are through the corners. They carry quite a lot of aerodynamic aids and they sit down through there, and they certainly carry a lot of corner speed. Rodrigo trying to get by the STs, may not have the outright speed. BMW holding on to the 2 Audi TCR cars around it, and the Mini ahead, the 73 car of Mike Lamara, that is the class leader. Here comes the TCRs coming through in formation. 77 goes to the left and goes through. That was a nice piece of driving by everyone concerned there, particularly Mike Lamara. So 77 to the left, 74 to the right of Mike coming out. 38, penalty, drive-through. Car 3, penalty, drive-through, both for incident responsibilities. So James Cox has been in and out, and so has the 3 car. And that was Craig Lyons. Both those penalties served. Fairly cut and dried, and again done very nicely and with not indecent haste, but due consideration. And the conclusion fired out on the timing screens as well, which is nice to see. That's
right. So it's Patrick Gallagher now in the lead in just his 2nd start in the IMSA Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Won last year's Global MX5 Cup Series, won a very handy scholarship of $100,000 from Mazda, and he's taken that along with the support he's had from ModSpace, which is a long-time Mazda supporter for several years, along with former Mazda MX5 ST driver Chad McCumbee. And that is the car that's leading the race right now in one of the Multimatic run Ford Mustangs. 2nd place is Cory Fergus, who's a multiple champion in all sorts of different cars, and running now in the McLaren for the MIA group. That is Carl Hermides' operation from north of the border in Canada. And Corey Lewis has taken to this car very, very quickly indeed.
An hour and 20 minutes still to go, and cars. Yes, go on.
Which means that the 40-minute minimum has now been satisfied.
Yes, good point. And we've got cars on different strategies. The key thing at the front of the field with the top 7 GS cars have not been in the pit lane yet, so they're all waiting for another full course yellow. They'll not want to make a green flag pit stop here. So Patrick Gallagher by 2.2 seconds at the head of the field. Cory Fergus in second position in the 69 McLaren with Owen Trinkler, Martin Barkey, Chase Briscoe. 46 Merc, Mercedes AMG GT. 80 Ford, 15 Ford. Then Nate Stacey's not that far back either. And Owen Trinkler under pressure for a moment in the TRG Mercedes, the blue and grey car, the white Ford Mustang GT4 right in behind is Martin Barkey.
Yeah, and he got the Ford Mustang there, has a good grunt on the straight heading toward turn 10, but the Mercedes, a much lighter Mercedes, able to brake deeper and maintain that position. That is a battle for third and fourth right now. And a good lap that was from Patrick Gallagher. He's extended that lead over Cory Fergus out to a couple of seconds on that last lap. And maybe a slight mistake somewhere from Cory on that restart lap. Recently married is Cory Fergus, a champion in all sorts of different series, mainly in Porsches over the last several years. A former champion in Sports 2000, like his dad, who was also a sports car champion himself some years ago. The secretary of the Road Racing Drivers Club, that's John Fergus. But Cory has carving out a very nice career for himself as well, and he's been warmly received to this Motorsport in Action team, doing a very, very good job for them alongside Jesse Lazar.
Great drive back after the mistake from Russell Ward, who's now back up into 12th position. I mean, he hasn't made the stop, so he's got by everyone who has stopped. So they're playing the game there. His dad, Bryce Ward, in the 57, also hasn't made a stop yet. So again, strategy being played out by the HTP Winwood guys, or Winwood HTP guys. Roy Block has pulled out about a second to Kieran O'Rourke in the TCR battle. Patrick Gallagher 1.4 seconds ahead of the field at the front end in that number 8 Ford. Multimatic Motorsports that Chad McCumbee will get into later on.
Roy Block in the lead in TCR for Compass Racing is under increasing pressure now from Kieran O'Rourke, with Britt Casey Jr. having made that pit stop is all over the back end of those two as well. So we've got a three-car battle for the lead in TCR by 75.
Yeah, it was just over a second, now down to 4/10.
And in ST, Nick Gallant has moved his way back up to the front and lead in that class now, having got past Mike Lamara last time around.
Scary moment for Britt Casey Jr. as he took to the dirt coming out of turn number 1 a lap or two ago, with Luke Rumberg now in the Volkswagen Golf GTI right there as well. So we've actually almost got 4 cars, Jeremy, for the lead in TCR. Rodrigo Sills in the 74 in 5th position is 5.5 seconds back down the road. But if these 3/4 start scrapping, which is exactly what they're doing now, then that could disappear in the blink of an eye. I've got to say, I'm impressed by Luke Rumberg. Not sure how much racing he's done before, but his racecraft is pretty good.
Well, basically one race on the road course, but a lot of short track stuff and modifieds, South Boston Speedway and similar track on the East Coast.
South Boston.
No kidding, wasn't that fun?
That was a great night.
Yeah. Good lap last time around by Cory Fergus, who's reduced that deficit again to the race leader, Patrick Gallagher.
Yeah.
Loose the tail now, pretty much.
Cross the line.
Trinkler hanging on there as well in 3rd position.
All of the cars at the front of the field owe us a pit stop. They will be going now as far into the race as they can on fuel. So it'll be fuel that will bring them in next, unless there's a full course caution. 45 minutes has elapsed, so they've all done their times to get the car. Oh, and a mistake! A mistake there by the Ford, and Martin Barkey's going to lose a position to Chase Briscoe. They've been having a cracking scrap just in behind the leaders. And it might actually cost a couple of positions, as the Clooney, number 26 BMW, is in there as well.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He's got minimal time in this car. It's the first time that Jason has driven a GT4 specification car. Done a lot of driving, all sorts of different things. He drove a USF 2000 car last weekend on the streets of St. Petersburg. Went back up to Saskatchewan, where he lives, and there was shoveling snow on Monday when he got the call from his team. Do you want to come drive with us at Sebring? Oh yes, please. So he flew down here. Absolutely right. From Prince Albert in Saskatchewan is Jason Clooney, doing a fine job there in the 7th position.
Fighting back through the field, the early leader, Spencer Pumpelly, in the 28 GS. That's a GT4 Porsche Cayman, now in the 9th position and leading in terms of the pit-stopped cars. Car looks a very good platform indeed as he dives down the inside of the 26. Heavens above, he's making up laps. He was 9th when he crossed the line. He's just got him in the 7th position because he's just gone past Jason Clooney, and his next target will be Nate Stacey in the Ford 60.
Yeah, that's a fast car. And fast drivers. Good combination, really, isn't it?
Always good in racing, I think. Fast cars, fast drivers, particularly ones that don't use a lot of fuel and are tremendously reliable. Across the line, Patrick Gallagher with Cory Fergus in behind him. And about a second to Owen Trinkler in third. 8:69, 46 and 15. Really big moment at turn one a lap or two ago for the 77. I'll tell you what I hadn't realised before was Kieran O'Rourke, who was just drifting out towards the edge of the circuit. I don't think realised that the other Audi was alongside him and just was drifting out on his normal exit run. In fairness, he might have lifted in the middle of the corner too, and Britt Casey Jr. had to get onto the dirt. He's got through and passed. It hasn't slowed down Britt Casey Jr., who's back in the lead now with Roy Block now second in TCR. Luke Rumberg in the Volkswagen. I said he was looking good. Back up into third, should I say. Kieran O'Rourke has dropped down to 5th because Rodrigo Sales has gone through as well. So that's all closing up in TCR.
And in ST, we've got the 3 leaders nose to tail heading into turn 1. Number 81 BMW.
Sorry, Jeremy. The 53 Ford Mustang off the road. And again, it's at that braking area, turn 10. That's the red and white car. Is back on the circuit now. I think just did that on his own. Just sort of outbraked himself, the Core Motorsport car.
He was dicing
59, sorry, I said 53. It was the 59, yeah.
He was trying to stay ahead
Jack
there
Rouse Jr.
of Paul Holton in the McLaren. He left it braking just a little bit too late.
Yes.
$18 laps completed by the leaders, coming up for 19 now as they head out of turn 17, and very little to choose between the top 2, and Owen Trinkler in 3rd place isn't far behind. So Ford, McLaren, Mercedes the top 3. A little bit of a gap there to the youngster Chase Briscoe, who really has done a nice job in a number 15 Multimatic Ford Mustang. He's got Scott Mack mentor. Scott Maxwell knows, well, just about absolutely everything there is to know about this GT4 Mustang.
Martin Barkey comes in first of the leading group, who haven't stopped, who comes in with 50 minutes down, although there was a bit of yellow flag in that, Jeremy. So that's about right. Oh, they can't get the hose over to the front left of the car. It's been pulled by the mechanic, and he's had to put it round behind himself, and he can't get the centre lock nut off the car, or the nuts off the car. They use an air gun rather than an electric gun, and that's costing them time. Oh, now it's the fuel that takes the longest. Fuel is allowed to be put in at the same time as the tyres are being done, and the problem is that the airline was stuck in a crack in the wall. Now has been taken out, but the damage is done. Had to be a longer pit stop than it needed to be. And this is a green flag pit stop as well, so that's an absolute nightmare.
Change for second place in ST, the number 21 body motion Porsche Cayman, Max Faulkner, moving past the 2013 ST champion Mike Lamara in number 73 Mini.
That's a fantastic run for Max, because he did start at the back of the ST field. I know there's only half a dozen cars, but even so, there's been a lot going on, and he's had to make those passes cleanly. Owen Trinkler, third position, coming through turn 17, and stays out for another lap. Ahead of him is Patrick Gallagher, the leader of the race.
No, we've got a new race leader, John.
Cory Fergus has gone through into the lead, right, and he's cleared off by about 9/10 of a second. Minimum drive time has been completed by everybody. McLaren leads forward from Mercedes. That's your top three, 69, 8 and 46. Shea Adam well past the minimum drive time, so presumably there's a whole load of drivers with hands, device, helmets, race suits all fastened up, ready to go on the wall.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought, but no. The only driver I can see up on the wall is Kyle Marcelli getting ready to take over for Nate Stacey when he eventually makes his way in. We've got Jason Hart standing behind the wall waiting for his co-driver Mike Vest to come in. Other than that, I don't see anybody on the pit in end who's ready to swap at all.
Diana Binks is down at the other end of the pit. Any sign of drivers getting ready down at your end of the pit? Normally stand on the pit wall ready to go.
Absolutely, there's not too many, but the 57's come in, and Bryce Ward is just handing that over to Indy Dante, so they're taking fuel and tyres. But other than that, there's no other cars ready, although I can see up the other end there are tyres on the wall there, but not any indication of them coming into the pit lane as yet.
Good solid drive by Bryce Ward. Shea Adam and Diana Binks with that Continental Tire pit lane report. Kept out of trouble when everything was kicking off around him. Exactly what we talked about this morning. He said he was a bit disappointed about his lap speeds. He set himself a target in the practice sessions of 15, and 16 rather, and he got down to a 15, and then he wanted a 14. You see, he was getting greedy. But his best lap of 2:16.4 in this heat, I think that's pretty good. Stayed out of trouble, and Indy Donchi is out with the 57 Winwood HTP Mercedes AMG GT. First rule of starting a get to your pit stop and hand the car over in exactly the same condition as you took it off the grid hatchings. Owen Trinkler exiting the final corner, still right in behind Patrick Gallagher as Cory Fergus has crossed the line in the lead. And there goes the battle, and they've lost a second, and Owen Trinkler knows that the leader is getting away and knows that at some stage he's going to have to make some kind of manoeuvre. The Ford is very quick in a straight line. The Mercedes-Benz bumping its way through turn 1. Trinkler tries to go to the inside of turn 3, goes to the inside of turn 3, but can't get it stopped. Little lock up from the front wheels of that GT4 car. That's hard to do, but then a mistake by the Mustang. And Patrick Gallagher goes wide. He's got dirt on his rear Continental tyres now. And like a barracuda smelling blood in the water, Owen Trinkler pounces immediately. He's up, he's got the nose of the belly ahead, but he's on the wrong side of the track as they turn right-handed into the hairpin. Cracking stuff from these two drivers. Absolutely on the ragged edge. Looks like the Mustang is losing rear grip and just isn't get the punch out from centre off the corner.
Smoking up the inside, there goes the number 46 car of Owen Trinkler, but he must slides on wide.
Locked up that front tyre. He must have the traction, the ABS turned right down on that car. So Cory Fergus is loving this because it's allowing him to establish a bit of a cushion at the head of the field. The McLaren is becoming a distant speck. And more importantly, Spencer Pumpelly, who's made his pit stop, is closing in on this battle for second position. This has been a sparkling drive from Spencer Pumpelly. Still one stop required by the 28 car to change driver.
but he will need less fuel than the other cars.
Correct, and he's on newer Continental tyres as well than the cars around him, and that's why his lap times are so good at the moment. He's a second and more quicker than the 3 cars ahead of him. Just following up on what Shea was saying from our Continental Tyre pit lane report, I do think now the guys who stayed out have made their bed as the leader pits, and this will be on fuel. They will be running as far as they can on fuel, and I think second place came in as well, Patrick Gallagher. Owen Trinkler has gone to the lead and will lead a lap. He's crossed the line and scored as the leader, with Spencer Pumpelly just a second behind. Now Owen Trinkler, if he's got fuel left in the car, has got to try and do a couple of good laps to offset what's going on right now in the pit lane. Shea Adam.
I have Kyle Marcelli getting into the number 60, the Core Autosport. The Mustang, it is 10 tires for this car. Nate Stacey's job is done for the day. They are expecting the sister car to come in as well. And the 52, the first of our minis, has come into the pit lane. Driver change and fuel. So far, so good for that stop. And they send the little yellow mini out on its way.
Meantime, at the other end of the pit lane, the car that came in from the lead is getting its service. Diana Binks. Apologies for that. Just a communication problem. I was hoping to hear Diana come through there, but pretty regular pit stops. A slight hold for Chad McCumbee in the 8 car before he was allowed to go. They were doing something around the back of the car. So we'll find out from the team what was going on there. In the meantime, Kyle Marcelli is back out on the circuit. Chad McCumbee, Jesse Lazaire in the 69 McLaren. Owen Trinkler then holding a scant lead over Spencer Pumpelly, who's done his pit stop. Now, he pitted on lap 12. We are now on lap 22. Been a bit of yellow in there. So Spencer Pumpelly can continue. I mean, he can only go for about another 20 minutes before he has to get out so that his co-driver... Oh, and the 92 car is off in the biggest possible way. The rear of the car is up on the tyres. The bright red AMG GT with Mark Ramsey behind the wheel, having taken it over from Alexander Bremer, and he has gone off at the tower turn. Pits are closed. This could be a disaster for Owen Trinkler, who's lost the lead to Spencer Pumpelly and has not come into the pits. Ari Balog, I think, was in when the
and number 38, well, that's what we'll have to wait and see. The number 38 car too was also onto the pit lane. But that car is a lap down after its earlier problems.
Shea Adams watching the 38. Did he get in before the pits were closed?
He was already on his way back out of the pits when the pits for clothesline light came on. That was Dylan Murray and our friend James Cox. James Cox, actually, very interesting relationship with the Paul Newman Rolex. If you haven't heard about it, look it up online. Basically, the reason we know about Rolex is because of Paul Newman. Well, the Rolex that Paul Newman had, he gave to just many years back. So very interesting story there. The 59 made it in before the pit close light came on, as well as the number 19 Mercedes and the 26 BMW. There's a little bit of issue going on with the 59, the Roush Mustang right now, but they have done the driver change. They are putting the left rear Continental on, having done all of their fueling. Now they're taking the car off the air jacks. The good news is all this was under yellow. So
yeah, good point. Mark Ramsey lost it coming into tower turn, the 13th of 17 corners here at Sebring, and the car, having rotated, skipped across the grass and hit the tyre wall. The rear of the car is off the ground. Just a mistake, maybe just a little bit too much rear brake bias, or trying to turn the car in too sharply. The tyre wall dissipating the energy of the impact in that dark red Mercedes-Benz that he shares with Alex Premat. He's going to need a tow out of there.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a good run for those guys, and you know, Mark was doing a pretty respectable job there, considering his lack of experience. But he certainly learn from that one. Looked like he was carrying a little bit too much speed actually there into turn 13 and into tower turn. The car spins around and makes very heavy contact with that outside area. Good news is that it will have absorbed a fair bit of the impact, but still there'll be quite a bit of damage to the back end of that number 92 Mercedes.
Take the opportunity to grab some of the drivers who've jumped out of the cars having started the race, and we'll start with Shea Adam with this Continental Tyre pit lane report, and Nate Stacey.
And Nate, for you in that number 60 Mustang, it looked like a very eventful stint, but how many laps did you have before you got in the car for the race?
So going into qualifying, we had about 15 laps. For me, we just had some problems, and then there was red flags and just bad luck, really. So we had about 15 laps going into qualifying. Wasn't too bad for what we had on the car. Then went out for the race and made some setup tweaks and watched Kyle's video for about 8 hours straight. So after that, we just kind of got ready for the race, tried to be safe with the car, and brought it back. So hopefully Kyle can get a bit more work done than I did. So should be good.
You had a moment out there with the Multimatic Motorsports Mustang. What was all that about from your perspective?
He got a bit of a jump on me on the start. I read it wrong a little bit and just was second delay on the throttle, and he was right up. And he had a bit of a better exit than me coming out of one, and got the inside, and we were side by side. And whenever we came through that corner, the radius comes back over on you, and he didn't move over very far, so I had to stay on the right and went 2 wheels over. But thankfully nothing broke, and we didn't hit each other. So hopefully next time he just gives me a bit more room.
Yeah, it's all good. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
I'm with Eric Baccarat from Quest Racing, the 92. We just wanted to know, you've said Mark's okay, Mark Ramsey. What feedback did you get from him?
Well, I mean, you know, he's okay. He's getting out of the car. It seemed that he came in the corner a bit wide. He was a bit offline, and he spun by himself. And it seemed the tire wall did a job, but, you know, he's okay. We'll see what kind of damage we have on the car.
It was disappointing, wasn't it? I mean, you had a strategy planned, and Alex got out the car earlier, Mark got in, and he was doing a pretty solid job.
Yeah, we were competitive, you know, and basically Alex did a very good job of the race, and we qualified well. So we play a specific strategy, and I think it was going to work pretty well, but unfortunately this thing happened. So it's part of racing, and I mean, you know, Mark's a great guy, and you know, he still has to learn quite a bit, and you know, this is why Alex is coaching him, and you know, so he's getting better and better, and you know, we're going to learn from it.
Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you. So glad he's okay.
92 car has been extricated from the tyre wall at Tower Turn and looks a little less than perfect around the back of that car. The rear underbody diffuser has been pulled off when it was removed from the tyres, because that's what was catching. The rear wing was already deranged from the impact. The rest of the car actually looks pretty good. Lost a rear light lens on the right-hand side, and all the tyres and wheels are pointing in the right direction. I think that car will drive. The worry will be how much, maybe not, they're going to put it on the flatbed. They'll not want to spree around. Premature end to their run.
There were 2 cars that came into the pits on the previous lap, number 26 and 59. That's Toby Grahovic in the fast track classic BMW M4 Gt4, and Joey Atterbury in number 59 Roush Performance Core Motorsport Ford Mustang. I think those 2 were probably in for emergency service, i.e. they were about to run out of fuel, so had to come in. They could just take a splash of fuel. They have to come in again, though, before we go back to green and take on full service.
Shea Adam?
The 59 at least made it in before the pits closed initially. I didn't see them come back in, must have been when I was talking to Nate. But yeah, initially at least, it came in and then the pits closed.
I don't think so, honestly, Shea. I think it was in well after the number 19 car, which I think we thought was pushing the limit, didn't we?
Yeah, and Owen Trinkler is the one that's going to lose out here.
Yeah, well, a bunch of them are. All those guys that haven't pitted. The guys who had pitted beforehand, including number 69 and number 8 and number 60, they're going to be looking in quite good shape.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Brick Casey Jr. might be leading the race at the restart, actually, the TCR car.
In the top positions, the only cars that haven't stopped, Owen Trinkler in the 46 TGM AMG GT, and Chase Briscoe in the 15 Ford, I reckon.
What?
Those are the only two who haven't stopped.
Yes, but all of those guys are going to have to come in again now in order to be able to get to the end of the race. The first guy that doesn't need another stop is...
Question is, what does Spencer Pumpelly do?
Well, he'll come into the pits now, I think, because he'll be good to go. He'll hand that car over to run the end of the race. The good news for him is, because he's already come into the pits, he doesn't need as much fuel as the other guys. So if they can get a really quick driver change in, he will come out at least, well, maintain his position ahead of all those other cars that are going to have to pit as well. So the timing of this caution period certainly was a bit unfortunate for RS1 and Spencer Pumpelly and Dylan McAvern.
Nick Gallant in the pit lane. The pits are still closed. The 81 BMW. Was that just an emergency service, Shea?
It was. They also did a drinks bottle change, though, as Devin Jones ran around the driver's side of the car, threw the door open with his seat insert, but then just put a new drinks bottle in and sent the car back out. They only took 5 seconds of fuel.
Okay, so that was indeed the emergency service. He will have to come in again once everyone else has been into the pit lane. No point in running somebody out of fuel on the track behind the safety car. Makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, Spencer Pumpelly has to cook 14 minutes anyway to get D-Mac in the car. And in fact, D-Mac is on the wall. Shea's just told me that, so ready to go. Owen Trinklet, seat above answer. He's got to jump out so that Hugh Plum can get in. Paul Holton has been in since the start, so he's got to come back in. So any of those guys who did the stop earlier? I know it was too early, wasn't it? So even if they did stop, they would have to change drivers again. Britt Casey Jr., as Jeremy suggested, that 77 Compass Racing TCR leader, the Audi, is now in 9th position.
Yes, and actually he probably doesn't need. Yeah, no, he will have to come into pit stop because he's got to hand over to Tom Long. So otherwise he could probably get out in the lead of the race, but no, he does need to come in and make a pit stop to range.
So cars number 56, note these down, Jeremy, 56, 72 and 81 closed pits and entered the pits when they were closed.
But not 59.
Negative.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So 56, 72 and 81. Is the 56 meant to be the 59? 56 apparently came back out from behind the wall.
Oh,
She's telling me now.
Right, yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, that was Jeff Mosing, the car. The car had some problems earlier on.
Sorry.
Number 72 car's not relevant either because that had problems earlier on. It's the BMW. Number 81, yeah, that did come into the closed pit. That was, again, emergency service for the guy that got back up into the lead of the class. That would be number 81 Bmw BMW.
Spencer Pumpelly, the leader in the 28 RS1 Porsche Cayman, is with Shea Adam for this Continental Tire Pit Lane report.
Perfectly nailed his marks and pulls himself out of the number 28 RS1 Porsche, handing over to D-Mac. How did we not think of that last year? 4 new Continental tires going on that car. Whoa, the number 8 of, I think that's still Patrick Gallagher, came very close to the guardrail I'm hiding behind because there was a bit of traffic on the blend lane, but fuel going into that RS1 Porsche still. They have completed the left side tire change, pulling out the air jacks. That might have been left side tires only, actually. Yeah, fuel's still going on. No, they're changing the right now. It was 4 tire change for that car. Dylan McAvern leaves the pit lane. Our 2017 GS champion is the first car back out of his box, as he was the first car to hit his box. There was a driver change also for the 82 BMW, and that is now Tyler Cook behind the wheel. James Clay being done, and again, a very good stop by the Bimmer World crew. The 5 goes out with a severe lot of damage from this weekend. Joe Robillard is handed over to Stephen McAleer. The 65 is doing a leisurely driver change, and further up the pit lane, I see both of McLaren are with Diana.
8 came in and just took fuel. A very quick stop, the Multimatic Motorsports car straight out. With the 15, Scott Maxwell was actually waiting for some time to take over for Chase Briscoe, and they put tyres and fuel, and he is flying out of this pit lane here. And above, earlier ahead of me, I can't see the number on that one, unfortunately, but they are just taking fuel and are leaving the pit lane now.
So the number 80 car came into the pits just then for a splash of fuel. Certainly didn't. I was surprised to see that car on pit lane, except for the fact unless there's another long caution, it wouldn't have been able to make the finish. So it would just need a splash of fuel. That's number 80 for Brett Sandberg. That's a fast car, and Brett Sandberg is a pretty quick driver.
And I think Indy Donci's done exactly the same in the 57 car.
Yes.
So their tactic now, because they were down through, they have brim-filled those cars, and so they'll be able to go to the end from here.
And Damien Faulkner also.
Right. Well, that's both of the Windward HTP cars then.
The first car that's kind of gambling a little bit here is number 60 car. That was in on lap 22, just before the full course caution.
Yeah.
And number 60 car, maybe they reckon they can get to the end from here. That's Kyle Marcelli at the wheel of that number 60 car for Roush Performance Core Motorsports, taken over from Nate Stacey.
Hello to Miss Jax, all the way from Australia. Sent us a note on at IMSA Radio. Perfect way to spend a Friday night. No clue what time it is where Jackie is in the world.
The TCR car, by the way, because the TCR and ST cars have to make their pit stops a lap after all the GS cars, that meant that Britt Tracy Jr. will be credited with leading that lap overall.
You were right.
But he will be on the pits, in the pits next time around over that number 77 car for Compass Racing to Tom Long.
Last on pit lane at the completion of lap 13 for Britt Casey Jr., so that's been a good long run for him.
Yep.
And
again, he was getting close now to the limits as well.
Yes.
To have to make your pit stops.
Correct.
So,
that is 7 minutes away, basically. Rodrigo Sales.
45 minutes, I think, for minimum time.
I thought you said 40 earlier on. My apologies. It was
45.
45. So yes,
within a couple of minutes. Yeah, within a green flag lap.
He's in the pit lane now. Now I'm going to ask a question here that you might not know the answer to. When does the incoming driver's time start? I think it's pit exit, and I think they're not going to make 45 minutes.
No, they'll make it. They'll be out of here within 2 minutes of now.
Let's go down to Shea Adam, who is in Mini World.
And what a wonderful place to be it is. The 73 comes into the pit box closest to me. Nate Nuremberg jumps out, and that is Derek Jones jumping in, I do believe. And we have an M combo being installed into the other Mini. That would be the number 37. So we should have a fairly confusing timing screen now, John, because it should be 2 M combos, unless I'm making that up, because the 52 did their driver change a little bit earlier on. We also have the BGB Porsche down there, and the BMW came back in, finally doing their driver change. That means that Nick Galant's been in that car for about 2 hours all said and done. He's only been racing it for a lot longer than that, about 1 hour and 20 minutes, but he's been sitting in it for a while. He finally gets out, and that pit stop looks to be going smoothly as well. Although the 73 Mini beats out the BMW, the 81 still in its pit box. Does the 37 beat it out as well? No, the 81 jumps ahead, so now we have a Mini sandwich.
Right, thank you very much, Shea, for that Continental Tire pit lane report.
Yeah, and number 81 that did come under the closed pit a couple of laps ago, so that car has to come in now, take on its full service, and make the driver change.
Yes, indeed. That was the short stop for just 5 seconds of fuel.
Yep, and now it came in for full service and the driver change.
So when it all cycles through, do we have?
Well, Dylan Murray Dylan Murray, I think is going to have an object. I think he was I think he was ahead of the race leader and behind the safety car when the last came around, I believe. So he should get the pass around and be able to rejoin at the back end of the lead lap. That's the car he shares, the BGB Motorsports Porsche Cayman he shares with Jim Cox. I think that's him escaping into the distance.
That's the blue and white car, isn't it? Who is getting the wave by now on the head of the circuit. The final wave by before we go back to green.
So that's the youngster there, Dylan Murray, second generation driver, 16 years of age he is, from Cartersville in Georgia, suburb of Atlanta basically. He made his debut, the son of David Murray made his debut driving along with his dad and with Jim Cox at Daytona last time out. There's some difficulties there, but now looks like at least he's going to get back on the lead lap. He's going to be at the tail end of the lead lap, so he's got an awful lot of traffic ahead of him. But I tell you what, he will learn an awful lot in this final 40 minutes or so of this race.
Yes, absolutely will.
Done a fair bit of racing as Dylan in all sorts of things like quarter midgets and karting and even some stock cars. So you know he's got plenty of did some late model from 2015. Did a couple of K&N races, which one of the support series is for NASCAR. In the last couple of years, he finishes 6th and 8th actually at Watkins Glen on the road course as well. So you know, lots of race for one so young, just 16 years of age.
I reckon Tom Long in the 77 leading TCR got out, roughly speaking, between 30 to 35 seconds ahead of the 45 minutes. That was when the pit out icon flashed up. So that was.
Yeah, and
a bit tight.
Yeah, it was. I think there's a little bit of leeway, given the fact they were under yellow and they weren't allowed to pit.
Yeah. Oh, somebody's gone off under full course yellow, and it's the 3 again, isn't it? Now that won't be. That can't be Craig Lyons still in the car? Yes, it is. So Craig Lyons, I'm afraid, not covering himself in glory, having had an incident already for which he was penalised, then gets a wave by, and then at the exit of turn 3 into 4, just drove the car off the track, and in trying to regain the track, looped it in the opposite direction. That I think, I think best not to say anything there.
Good plan.
Moving along, nothing to see. The class split is about to happen now, so Pierre Kleinebing, who's taken over the 75 TCR, and in fact now leads the 75, the TCR category. He will allow all of the GS cars to go past him, and Tanner Rumberg will be alongside him, behind him when we come back to green. Just checking, I think. Yeah, we have got 30 cars on the lead lap. And
I reckon it'll be 31 actually.
Do you think Dylan Murray's on his way back round? Yes, I think you're right there, Jeremy. So 31 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, and what John Hindhoff means there by the class split is before we go back to green, we'll get all the GS cars packed up together. Behind them will be the TCR cars. So even though Pierre Klein-Newbing now in car number 75 is actually 5th on the road, he'll drop to the back of the pack, remain ahead of Tanner Rumberg, who's taken over from his younger brother Luke in 2nd place in the car number 31. And then Tom Long and Kuhn and Whitmer were there already at the back of the pack, having made their pit stops a little earlier. So that is going to be the order, and then they will be ahead of each of the ST cars, which is led now by Mark Pombo in car number 52, ahead of his brother Matt in 73, then the Porsche of Jason Rabe, and the BMW of David Jones, who's taken over from Nick Galante. And also Derek Jones in the other Mini is going to be on the lead lap as well in ST. So the 5 ST cars will be in a train for the restart, and the, I guess, 5 TCR cars ditto. So that's going to be quite good fun, I think.
Maybe getting a penalty for one of these in the pit lane, ran over a drinks bottle on exit, unless it wasn't theirs.
7 cars going down the pit lane.
Into the pit lane to Diana Binks, who has a pit caller. Diana, who do you have with you?
Windward Racing, the number 3 Craig Lyons has just pitted, and there's quite a lot of damage to the front right, my front left. But Chris Wilson is ready to jump in. They're just putting the seat insert now. Craig's out, Chris is in. They're looking at the damage at the front, but they're not doing anything with that. They're changing the tyres at the rear, and they're just waiting to change the front left. Here he goes. So there doesn't look like there's anything sticking there, John. All the bodywork has come off at the front, and he's just taking the tyres off now. So there'll be just a slight delay here while they just fit the other driver back in. I can see them doing up the belts and just double checking that everything's all right. Hands up from the guys on the rear of this AMG, and they're about to give him the thumbs up now. No, still a slight delay here. Oh, there's a wire hanging up from the top that nearly went off with that car.
And we are back to green flag racing as that car rejoins. That was too late, by the way, because there was only 40 minutes left on the clock, and he's still not left the pit lane, 39 minutes and 45 seconds as that car comes out. So I don't think that's going to be drive time for Chris Wilson, unless he started that car, and I don't think he did. I thought Craig Murray was in it from the beginning. Kyle Marcelli leading the cars across the line. Greg Liedfuger in second place, and Toby Grahovic. Yeah, Grahovic. 75 is going to get a pit lane speeding penalty. That is Pierre Kleinebing, the leader of the TCR category. 9 miles and even close. Car 99 car. The Aston Martin of Al Carter. Wheel rotation went on jack stands. That's a drive-through as well. Come on, guys.
Al knows better than that.
Yes, it's easy to catch the throttle, but he shouldn't have been in gear when he was up there.
All right, so the guy to watch here is going to be...
Down at turn 10, sorry, I was pointing at the screen there. Down at turn 10, a little bit of bump and run, but everybody's got away with it. Marcelli from Liedfuger in second place. Damien Faulkner, after all of that and having brim-filled the car, came across the line in 7th position. Fueled, I reckon, to the end of the race.
Right, everybody's fueled to the end. No, we shouldn't need any more pit stops right now.
So that was a really smart piece of work by the HTP Winwood guys. Shea Adam has news of a problem with the, did you say the 7 car there, Shea?
I did. It's the bright yellow one, the Volt lighting car. When it came into the pit lane a few moments ago, I thought that was because they stayed out an extra lap to get the lap back before doing their driver change, but it just came back into the pit lane trailing a lot of white smoke. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was the car that stopped very, very early on there. I think 8 or 9 laps off the lead at the moment. So they've tried to get Alan Brynjolfsson back into the race. The leaders are coming through past us. Marcelli still leads by 1.3 seconds. Liedfuger in the Mercedes, 60 from 19 from 26. Joey Atterbury is in 4th position in the 59. Car 11, oh my goodness, what a day they're having. Ran the red light at the pit stop, stopped in 60. Improper final wave by procedure for the number 3 car. That's Craig Lyons. He's having a horrid day. Stop plus 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Of course, Craig Lyons has gone out, so poor Chris Wilson is going to have to sit there and sew that up.
Tell you what, I think maybe we should stop scoring the number 3 car today and talk about somebody else. Poor old Craig, he's had a horrible, horrible day.
Hey, Craig, how did you race?
There's a number 81 car on pit lane.
Correct.
Why?
Well,
Shea Adam, a penalty for working in a closed pit.
Ah, right.
Stop
so that wasn't an emergency. So they didn't just do emergency service. They did something else. Now, Shea Adam, didn't you tell us that they changed the drinks bottle?
They did. That's considered working on the car in a closed pit lane.
Goodness gracious me.
Pulls into the penalty box.
Excuse me, John, I'm so sorry. Bimmer World Racing has been around in sport a long, long time. They should know better than that. You can't do anything at all other than take on a splash of fuel, I believe.
So, yes. So the penalty box is getting a bit full at the moment. Damien Faulkner lighting up the...
Yeah, Carl Marcelli leads this motor race.
Yeah, very good.
It's best ever finish. He's had a pair of 3rd place finishes in the past. Nate Stacey had a 3rd last year as well. Neither of them has won a race. Gregory Liedfuger, well, he's won races in ST, but not in GS before.
Yeah, the Volt racing car clearly had problems early on and dropped down. But that looks like an engine issue for the number 7 when it came back into the pit, as reported by Sheridan now. Continental Tire pit lane report.
So 35 minutes remaining. This is going to be a heck of a race up front. Carl Marcelli, though, you give him that young Canadian the lead. He's not going to want to give it up, that's for sure.
Indy Donchi, penalty, leaving the pit box with equipment attached. Drive through. That's the Winwood HTP car. I think that was the ball. Oh, spin for the 15. Now, was he helped into that? That's Scott Maxwell, who has been turned at turn 16 going into the back straight, and that car has rejoined. That was a couple of moments ago. I was watching the timing screen, I have to say. So apologies, but that car is running again, but has dropped down the field considerably, now in 22nd position. Tom Long leads TCR for the 77 Compass Racing car. Kuno Whitmer in second position, and Tanner Rumberg in the only VW Golf in the race is in third position. Lee Carpentier in fourth. In ST, Mark Pombo leads Matt Pombo by a couple of tenths of a second. 52 Mini, that's the yellow car from the 73 red and black car.
Carl Marcelli in the lead of the race in that Roush Performance Core Motorsports Ford Mustang. He's just turned his best lap of the race and worked 2 minutes 14.56. It's not the fastest lap of the race. That was in the low 13s for Spencer Pumpelly. But he's got now a margin of a little bit less than 2 seconds when he came across the line last time. But what a battle for second place between Lee Fugger and Grahovic.
More problems for Scott Maxwell. Yeah. He's driven off the circuit and he's heading for a picnic, I think. Hand on head there and gets out of the car.
These Fords have had some reliability problems, it has to be said.
He's shutting everything down, but what a pro. He's taken the car off the racing surface and out of the way. It will not cause anything in terms of a safety car intervention. Now, let's get back to some battling here after we've done all the penalties for you. 19, Greg Leefuger has the BMW number 26 right in behind. This is the new BMW M4 Gt4, and in third, separated by about 3 seconds as they went across the line. Then there's a little gap back, maybe a second or so, to Joey Atterbury in fourth, who's got Chad McCumbee and Jesse Lazaire right up his tailpipes. Damien Faulkner is only another 8 tenths back in 7th position. So a couple of little groups of cars beginning to form at the front of the field. Kyle Marcelli's 2 seconds away from Lee Fugger, and then the 26 BMW, the 59 and 8 Fords are pretty close. Then a gap back to Jesse Lazaire, then Damien Faulkner, then Damien McAvan, D-Mac. That's another little group with Tyler Cook closing in on them as well. This is going to be exciting. I love it. Great way to come to the end of a race. Good run by Kyle Marcelli, and well done to the 60 team for getting their tactics right and keeping their powder dry for a little while. The Roush Performance Core Motorsports car, that's KOHR.
Yeah, they're in first and fourth positions right now, aren't they? With Chad McCumbee in the Multimatic car there, right with them, also in 5th position.
Stephen McAleer involved with the spin for Scott Maxwell, which I only caught the end of. Sorry. And
they were battling over 10th place at that restart.
And that incident under review at the moment. The 11 car still to serve its stop plus 60, I think, for running the red light at the pit exit. Greg Leefuger in that AMG Mercedes. What a great colour scheme that is as well. The livery guys have gone.
Miss that one, can you?
The livery guys have gone bonkers here, haven't they? Toby Grahovic in behind him. Side by side into 15 sort of area on the circuit.
Side by side they were, weren't they? And it was Maxwell on the outside. It's a low percentage place to be.
Yeah, and he was trying to follow the Mercedes ahead of him through Jeremy as he came in, and you see he went for the apex when the Porsche was still there.
Yeah, hadn't
really cleared him, and the Porsche's I don't see the Porsche doing anything wrong there. Right at the apex, the number 5. I mean, he goes any further to his right, he's got to ride the curb.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if Stephen McAleer needs to do that. Scott Maxwell's put himself on the outside, as you say, Jeremy. He's got to make it go. And, you know, if it had happened on the exit and Stephen hadn't given him room, then okay. But no, that was at the apex. Scott Maxwell walking away from the number 20 for the number 15 car, which he's abandoned on the infield, but it's not on the racing surface. There'll be no worries about that. Half an hour of racing still to go, 30 minutes on the clock. Marcelli is pulling away from the field. It's up to 2.3 seconds now, with Lee Fugger in the Mercedes, Grahovic in the BMW, battling, scrapping over second and third. Joey Atterbury now has Chad McCumbee, Jesse Lazare and Damien Faulkner and Dylan Matchevin all behind him, with Tyler Cook in the 82 BMW gaining on them as well. So we're going to have 6 cars battling for 4th place when they come round in the next couple or 3 laps.
Yeah, that's a great battle, isn't it? That's really heating up. Carl Marcelli, though, another best lap for him, 2 minutes 14.4 for our race leader last time around, so a couple of tenths quicker than a couple of laps ago.
This weekend on Saturday, the 66th running of the Mobil 1 Sebring 12 hours, presented by Advance Auto Parts. We'll have all of the action live on RS2 IMSA Radio as part of the RSL radio network of channels.
Carl Marcelli is loving looking in his mirrors and seeing that BMW and the Mercedes side by side and battling amongst themselves, because that is going to enable Carl to edge away at the front of this field. Young man with a lot of racing experience nowadays is Carl.
Yes, I remember his early days in the forerunner of this championship. Did a bit of prototype challenge racing, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah. Here in the US, if you want to watch moving pictures of the big race tomorrow, Fox Sports Go, Fox Sports 1 and 2 have all 12 hours. If you are outside the US, then IMSA TV or the player at radiolemans.com with the trackside commentary that we provide. And we'll have a bit of the warm-up as well for you in the morning on audio. Can't stay by your television, Sirius 138, XM 202, and around the circuit, 99.1 WWOJ, 7:30 AM News Talk and 10:50 AM Highlands ESPN, as well, of course, as the IMSA app. Some exciting news about the IMSA app coming in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that.
Give a shout out here to young Dylan Murray. You remember he took the restart in the 31st position. That car is now up into 16th.
Yes.
Actually, wasn't. He was a bit higher than that because he got the wave past the other cars.
Yes.
But still, he's running nicely there and making up a little bit of ground.
Just waiting to see where Kyle Marcelli is. The ST leaders have gone through. Matt and Mark Pombo first and second, half a second between them. It's like formation driving into turn 3 at the moment. And number 5 with a problem is Stephen McAleer. That was after the hit from Scott Maxwell, and he's touring.
Well, he must have had another incident, because he was, after that, he was dicing with number 65.
Actually, somebody's driven up the back of him, Jeremy.
Yeah.
He's got a left
65,
front puncture, though. No, he has got a left front puncture, though. That might be as a result of that side-by-side contact, because it was left front that took the bulk of the impact when the Mustang came across him.
Yeah, the last couple of laps, though, he's been nose to tail with number 65.
Kyle Marcelli by nearly 3 seconds now. Chad McCumbee dropping away in 4th position. He's checked that. Joey Atterbury has been overtaken by Chad McCumbee, hasn't he? So Chad McCumbee's just gone through in the 8th to 4th position, just happened across the line. There were just 0.034 of a second, and that battle continues into turn number 3 with McCumbee and Atterbury together, with the McLaren of Jesse Lazare right in behind them. And here comes Dylan Matchevin, who's gone by Damien Faulkner, who's in that as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars scrapping for 4th position, and the 2 Fords are still side by side. They've done the first third of the lap, and the McLaren tries to make it 3 wide, going down into the hairpin, does make it 3 wide for a moment, then thinks better of it. As Dylan Matchevin in the Porsche is there. It's 2 pairs of 2. It's like watching a double wide restart on a green-white checker on an oval. This is extraordinary stuff. Damien Faulkner trying to get in amongst this battle. Tyler Cook's gone by Damien Faulkner as well in the 82 BMW, I think. So Damien Faulkner, having got up to the back of that battle for 4th positions, lost spots. Yeah, confirmed that BMW there. So Chad McCumbee, Joey Atterbury, the 2 Fords, 8 and 59. Jesse Lazare in the McLaren, the 69. Dylan Matchevin in the Porsche 28. Damien Faulkner and Tyler Cook all line astern. In fact, the BMW is ahead of Damien, who is just giving himself a little bit of breathing room. Dylan Matchevin in the RS1 came in. Remember, that was the car that led early on, trying to get the draft from the car ahead of him. Cory Fergus still has Toby Grahovic behind him. They're battling in second place, but that battling is allowing Kyle Marcelli to just stretch away. 3.3 seconds now. Stephen McAleer is heading back out onto the circuit after a problem with the right front. Shea Adam has been talking to the team.
The left front, and it was just a flat tire. There was no suspension damage, which is the good news. They put a slightly used Continental back on that left front and sent Stephen back out.
He'll not be happy. That was the corner that took the hit earlier on. Now, what's up with Damien Faulkner? He's got Hugh Plum right in behind him for TGM. He took over from Owen Trinkler. Owen really lost out. The TGM 46 car really lost out by not getting in just before the full course yellow. They couldn't have known, but it was rolling the dice and it hasn't paid off. But he's only 11 seconds behind the leader, Hugh Plum, and he's got a whole gaggle of cars. There's nobody with more than 6 or 7 tenths between himself and fourth position.
Change on the podium there. CR, Lee Carpentier in corner 10, moving past number 31 of Tanner Rumberg on that last lap.
23 minutes to go. Oh!
Dear me.
See, that's not helping to anybody on radio, is it? That's turn 13, sorry, dear listener. That's turn 13, and it's the McLaren that's gone around. Jesse Lazare comprehensively attacked by Tyler Cook. I think 1 or 2 drivers might be up before the beak at the end of this. The rear spoiler, the rear aerofoil's gone on that car coming down to turn 13. The BMW riding the curb at 12 gets to the inside, but not far enough up. No. And again, keeps the foot in whilst turning the other car around.
Not good.
It's a dirt track move.
Well, it's an ST move, perhaps, by Tyler Cook there.
I wonder
surprising.
If they were... Sorry, go ahead.
No, surprising for somebody of his experience, to be honest.
I think he got there and just thought, I might as well tough it out now. That
Dylan McAvoy up a place.
Unsurprisingly, that is under review. Yeah, well, they'll drop. I think both of those guys will drop down, won't they? So that puts Dylan McAvoy up to 5th. Joey Atterbury
just
got past
yes,
Joey.
Exactly, yeah.
Tyler Cook is going to lose position, is he? Damien Faulkner's dropped down to 10th position. So we'll wait to hear about that decision on the 69 and the 82. Tyler Cook and Hugh Plum will drop down. But Damien Faulkner, well, he should go up a couple of positions there. Just doesn't seem to have the pace in the car at this stage of the race. 2:18.7 last time around, when everyone else was doing 17s, 16s, 15s and 14s for Chad McCumbee. Kyle marking up his pace in the first sector, as is Cory Fergus.
Yeah, just doing a really, really nice job is Kyle Marcelli. He's super consistent at the front of this field, and the gap from first to second, about 3.3 seconds. It's edged out just a tiny little bit over the last few laps.
And don't forget, the rest of the season, exactly as we have covered this, with a countdown to green on IMSA Radio, and then IMSA Radio and IMSA TV coming together for full streamed video of the race. TV production. Thank you guys, doing a cracking job today. Thanks again to Bubba Clark for all his assistance. And that is without geo-block and no breaks. Flag to flag coverage live, and as it happens every Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race day, as IMSA Radio and TV come, we on IMSA Radio have coverage of the earlier sessions, including qualifying, but you'll always get race coverage in sound and vision.
Inside 20 minutes to go now with the Kyle Marcelli that lead over Gregory Leafuger in second place, 3.3 seconds as he comes across the complete lap 38. Meanwhile, back in ST, the Pombos continue to battle in those minis, the 52 and the 73. Not far behind them, an equally good battle between Jason Rabe in 21 and Derek Jones in the Mini 37.
And into the pit lane, Tyler Cook to serve a drive-through penalty. Incident responsibility with the 69. If you could see my face now, there would be not a single element of surprise on that decision. Good work again by Race Direction, having a look at it, making the decision, getting it done quickly, and the 82 car coming in to serve its penalty quickly, get that out of the way, get back out. The Bmw World Racing guys, they know it was just a drive-through, so everybody else moves up. So 10th now, Guy Cosmo. Damien Fault has lost another position. Must be an issue. Well, he did it 2:20 last time around. There's an issue with the 33 car. See if we can get a report from our Continental type pit lane team. The 33 Winwood HTP car is losing pace, whilst at the front of the field, Kyle Marcelli, Greg Leafuger and Toby Grahovec have done their fastest laps of the race, 2:14, 4, 7 and 6 respectively. It was a 2:20 from Faulkner. And what looked to be a promising potential, maybe top 6 finish, maybe better, is turning into survival for the affable Irishman. And if he's doing 2:20s to the end of the race, he's not going to hold on to 11th position. Meanwhile, in TCR, Tom Long, 11.5 seconds to Kuno Whitmer, 77 and 74. Both Compass Racing cars.
Yep, and given the fact number 74 car had various electrical gremlins yesterday, that's been a good comeback for those two. The Pombos still battling away as they head towards turn 1. The 52 ahead of the 73. That's Mark ahead of Matt.
Do you think they've asked the teams to link the radios together so they can shout insults at each other at various corners?
Matt, by the way, is the elder brother.
He's in second place at the moment. Ooh, big by his little brother. Now there's a decision to be made. I don't like my little brother beating me, but I can't really put him off because A, he's my teammate, and B, he's my little brother. I'm his big brother, I'm meant to look after him.
Grahovic made that good pass for second place. Can you see that?
Grahovic through on Leafuger, and the gap now 4 seconds, so can Grahovic in the BMW number 26. By the way, that car looks absolutely superb, doesn't it? The classic BMW Vess Energy Group colours, dark red, and BMW M4, dark red with the grey side panels. That BMW M4 Gt4 car been on the track for well over a year now in development, but this is its first serious year of competition. We saw its race debut in Dubai, in the Dubai 24 Hours in January 2017 when it ran unhomologated. The Pombo boys still at it. 25th and 26th overall.
Dirt tracking.
Just throw the minis at the corners, guys. Back into the minis jacked up so that they slick and back the cars in. Turn the wheel towards the apex, get your foot down. Classic stuff. If you had the Scale Xtrix mini racing set when you were younger, slot racing cars, that's what they look like. There was always a bright yellow one, wasn't there? Bright yellow one, red one, often you'd had a blue one. They were the classic minis rather than the new BMW cars, but you get the picture. It's exactly what they look like at the moment coming through turn 17. Made their debut in this category here at Sebring, and I remember the car rolling out for the first practice. I thought somebody had just taken a car out of the car park and put race numbers on it. Dark red, out it went, no racing stripes, no decals, no sponsors. And it went by and I thought, who's let him out? They have got 13, call it 14 seconds on Derek Jones, who's recovered in the 37 car. So it is a mini 1, 2, 3, 52, 73 and 37. And Derek has just got past the Porsche number 21, Jason Rabe in that car.
Yeah, we've also got Dylan McAvoy moving up as well. I think he was able to get past Chad McCumbee there in turn 1. That would be the battle for 4th position. The Daytona winner moving up.
Yes, and he's only a 10th.5 behind Chad McCumbee, who's a second behind Greg Leifugger, and Greg's not lapping us anywhere near. He's done a 17.7 last time around. I think the guys, that 1 or 2 guys might be in slight tyre trouble here at the head of the field. It is very warm today, and if you've leaned on those cars, the 69's out. The 69's out again. Jesse Lazaire off the circuit, and is that dead stick? It looked to be cruising to a halt. He's tried to put it behind a barrier. It's coming up towards turn 3 at the early part of the lap. Disaster for McLaren. Oh, man alive, what a day today. That leaves the 76 McLaren in the hands of Matt Plum, who's battling with his brother, Hugh Plum, for 8th and 9th position. Hugh Plum has taken over the 46 Mercedes. Let's go down to, that's one of the Winwood HTP cars, the 46 machine. No, sorry, that's the TGM car. Let's go down to Winwood HTP. Diana Binks has this Continental tyre pit lane report. Dinah, we've been worried about the pace of Damien Faulkner. That car now outside the top dozen.
Yeah, he is. I'm just with the team now. They were on the pit wall actually having a look, and they can see that something has broken on the right rear. They don't know what yet, but they're getting ready for Damien to come in. They're all on the pit wall now, so he will be coming back in, and that's the reason that he's losing that time out there.
The car is seriously hampered at 26.8 last time around. He's 10-11 seconds off the pace. No sense in trying to scrape it home for the last 12 minutes. He's going to lose too much ground.
McAvoy now looking to make a move on number 19 car as well.
He's just taking 8/10 out of him that lap around. That's excellent driving.
Yeah, again, the lighter car in the latter stages of the race. That battle for 3rd and 4th in ST is absolutely superb. 21 to 37. They've exchanged places each of the last 2 laps.
Yes, they have. But they're dropping away from the Pombo boys. Now 17 seconds between the 3rd place car and the 2 minis.
The guys on the move is Indy Doncher up to 11th place now, having made that drive-through penalty, I think, didn't he, at the restart?
Yes.
And has had to work his way back through the field. He's the fastest car on the track, or yeah, one of the fastest cars on the track. 1:14.6 against the leaders, 2:15. 2 minutes 14.6 obviously, against 15.2 for our race leader.
Yeah, that was a pit lane equipment running over violation, wasn't it?
There's number 33 car on pit lane.
D-Mac ahead of Chad McCumbee on the circuit as they are charging up through the field. Actually, has he got past Greg Leifugger? Yes, he has. That's Leifugger that's behind him now. So the 28 car is up into 3rd position, I reckon, Jeremy. Yeah, confirmed. So Leifugger struggling for lap times every once in a while. He's doing 15.5s, 15.3 for Grahovec in second. Kyle Marcelli 5 seconds ahead. It was down towards the hairpin, and it looks like Leifugger just went a little bit wide, couldn't straighten the car up, left the inside driving by Leifugger. That very fair driving. Didn't try to take the apex of 8.
Yeah, very sensible. You can see that the Porsche is a lot faster at this stage in the game.
It's a rear grip, isn't it?
It's a good bit lighter. Yeah, a lot more grip all around. So just says, okay, fair enough, I'll follow you home. Give up 1 position, no problem.
Chad McCumbie's only a second further back in their number 8 Ford. This is not over yet. D-Mac on the podium and only 2.6 seconds behind Toby Grahovec, only 7 seconds behind the leader. Bad news for him, we've only got 10.5 minutes left. But he was a full second and more quicker than the 2 cars ahead of him. We've got about 5 laps left.
Defending series champion, of course, is D-Mac there. Dylan McAvoy in that 3rd position.
There's a chance for second. I don't think he's going to get first unless Kyle Marcelli does something silly. But there's definitely a second position. That car is capable of a 13.2, Dylan McAvoy's car. That might be the fastest lap of the race, was it? Yes, it was. Spencer Pumpelly early on. So now it's full attack mode. Phases to stun. And cannot be delayed by lap traffic. In the classes, Tom Long is up to 16th now as Damien Faulkner has come to the pit lane, as we mentioned. Kuno Whitmer makes it a 1-2 for Compass Audi. Lee Carpentier in the number 10 Europarts.com racing machine is in third. ST Mini Porsche Mini, but that could change at any stage. The Porsche and the Mini will swap around at least another 117 times before the end, probably. Matt and Mark Pombo battling for that lead. We've also got Matt and Hugh Plum with us in 8th and 9th position in GS, but they're not in the same type of car. Matt in the McLaren number 76 for Compass Racing, Hugh Plum in the 46 Ted Giovannis Motorsport AMG Mercedes.
That's right, and in TCR now, Tom Long's got a very handy lead over Kuno Whitmer, who is indeed well clear of the third place car, but Lee Carpentier still has been tailed there by Tanner Rumberg, and Pierre Kleinubing is closing in on both of those two. That's car number 75, Pierre Kleinubing, originally from Brazil, but based in Coconut Creek in Florida for many, many years. Hugely successful, won a lot of championships in different series, and he is trying to make sure he wants to get back on the podium after that earlier problem and drive-through. Meanwhile, the race leader, 1 minute 14.9 last time around. Good lap time for Kyle Marcelli, has extended that lead just ever so slightly. Toby Grujovic, an excellent second place for that Fast Track Racing team. The classic BMW, new to the Intercontinental Tire Sports Car Challenge this season. Toby Grujovic has done some races in the past. He's had a second place finish. He started in the series, actually made his debut way back in 2007. And for Jason Clooney, well, you know, he's the guy who got the call from when he was shoveling snow, quite literally, at home in Saskatchewan early this week after racing in the F2000 car at St. Petersburg last weekend. He's on here potentially for a second place finish. That would be a remarkable result for that team.
So head down to Diana for an update from the Continental Tire pit lane reporters. Di, what do you have?
When the team brought Damien Faulkner back in the 33, and they made some adjustments. They were looking at the back and the rear and the tyres. It's been here for probably 3 or 4 minutes, but they have actually sent him back out on track now.
Yeah, he's dropped well down behind Stephen McAleer, actually. So that's down into 19th position in class. I don't think he'll drop any further because everyone else is laps behind. He may have dropped off the lead lap now. He has, yes, indeed. So that is a bit of it's an awful thing to happen. Mercedes-Benz have not had the best day today, have they? Car's been fired. Mercedes AMG car's been fired at the scenery. Doesn't help, but there have been some issues with the cars. That
is very true, but Indy Dontra is absolutely flying.
Meantime, the Mark Mini battle continues down the back straight. Formation driving now. They are now driving side by side just because they can, I think. Shay's just said in my ears, it makes better photos for the mum. Mrs. Pombo, if you're watching, your boys are doing a great job. Nice.
Yeah, and their father Pepe was a big hero in IMSA back in the 80s as well.
Matt Pombo just pulling out there just to make sure that the family back at home can see that they're both still running on the TV stream.
They're back together again, aren't they? So there was a second or so between them for a few laps, but now Matt has closed back up onto Taylor Mark as they head through turn 1.
Bouncing their way through turn 1. Tremendously entertaining. It's been a good run by Lee Carpentier into 3rd position in TCR, but he is now... Now, has Lee just gone through into 3rd? Yes, he has, hasn't he?
No, he's been holding on.
It's Tanner Rumberg who's closed in on him. My apologies. Yes, the Golf.
Yeah,
so the Volkswagen break up the Audi domination on the podium.
That's right, correct. And behind him, Pierre Klein-Newby was closing in on those two, but last lap around, he didn't.
I think he had some of the lead GS cars go by him, so he might have had to lift out, Jeremy. Toby Grahovec has got a mirror full of Dylan McEvan. It was 2.5 seconds at the line. It's nothing like that as they slow Ford Mustang out on the circuit. It's the 8 car. This is Chad McCumbee from 5th position. Disaster for the Ford.
Sounds like he's got no drive. Is that another drive shaft problem?
It's still ticking over, and he's going to try and get it off into a break in the wall, which is, with only 4 minutes left, any intervention by the safety car now would hand the race to Kyle Marcelli. Let's just go back to that.
He'd have his fingers crossed though, won't he? Having seen his brought by the wayside.
Well, his last lap was a 15.3, so he's not hanging about. 14.9 from McEvan, and he's down to under 2 seconds. It's been a good rearguard action from Toby Grahovec in the BMW, because I didn't think he had the speed a couple of laps ago. Meantime, just going across the line in front of us, Ford and Audi are battling. That's Joey Atterbury in the 59 Ford and Jeff Westphal in the 39 Audi, the grey and bright yellow machine, and they are battling over 5th and 6th position now.
And Indy Doctor, excuse me, John.
Sorry. Out of fuel. I'm hearing there's a fuel problem. Excuse me, wrong car and wrong message. I thought that was the car that was stopping, that was out of fuel. What I'm hearing is Kyle Marcelli has been told by the team he has no worries on fuel. On lap 23, working lap 46 now. Matt and Hugh Plummer right together again as well. That went out to a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
McLaren and Mercedes, so the battling brothers, 2 pair, 7th and 8th in GS, and leading ST and 2nd place in ST.
Yeah, and 3rd place in TCR has changed position. Tanner Rumberg's got ahead of Lee Carpentier, and now Pierre Klein-Newby is within a couple of seconds of those two. Also in ST, Jason Rabe has got back past Derek Jones. Must have been a problem for Jones on that last lap, because he had a semi-appreciable margin over the Mini last time, over the Porsche last time around.
Yeah, Klein-Newby last lap at 21 flat against a 23.2 from Lee Carpentier. He's going to eat up that couple of seconds very, very quickly between them. Carpentier, after a good run in the eEuroparts.com Racing Audi, might be in bother. It seems, having no ball at the front of the field, is Kyle Marcelli in the 60 Core Motorsports machine. Roush Performance and Core Motorsports combining with this Ford Mustang GT4. And
white flag.
He gets the white flag.
Yes.
Now, the battle for second is hotting up, and meantime, the Audi has got up the inside of the 59. Just waiting for a moment before I called that one through. So Jeff Westphal will be scored in 5th position as he comes round, unless the Mustang can drag by him. No, it can't. Grahovec and McEvan still battling, but Westphal moves up a position. Lee Fugger should be all right in 4th position. Tim Probert and Dylan Murray are having a scrap for 12th and 13th position. Keep an ay on that.
Yeah, I was talking about, there was Indy Doncher up into 10th position and turning. He's the fastest car on a regular basis. 14, he's lapping regularly in the 14s. No one else is lapping regularly in the 14s at this stage in the proceedings. He's back in 10th place after some difficulties early on, but it's been a really, really good run once again for the young Dutchman.
White flag for the 2 minis. I shall miss these cars from ST, and no chance of a mini TCR. There is one built, but BMW won't sanction it to run here. The suggestion is that they are holding on for their own TCR product, being the BMW, the new BMW 1 Series, which will share the new Mini platform, and that we might see a BMW Motorsport product in the 1 Series front-wheel drive car. It's been a while since they had their entry-level 235M out. Entry-level BMW Motorsport. These 2 minis have not given up the fight yet. Now, boys, play nicely. Oh, Door left open by Mark. Pombo takes the initiative, goes down the inside, then drops back behind his younger brother as they go to the hairpin for the final time. Kyle Marcelli had 5.5 seconds on the field as he went through, and he's in the final corner now. He could almost kick out the clutch and let it roll home for Roush Performance in Core Motorsports. As they come through, Nick Stacey started and Kyle Marcelli finishes with a win for Ford and for Roush Performance and Core Motorsports. And Nick Stacey is on the pit wall with Shea Adam.
Nate Stacey, wow, started 13th today. Now you get your first ever win in this series. Congrats. How's it feel?
Feels awesome. Just so glad. The Core Motorsports guy, they're the best guys out there. Can't ask for a better crew. Dean and Martin engineered this car to perfection. Kyle Marcelli drove it like an insane guy, and just, that was a great race.
2 years in a row for this team. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Nate stays there on the wall. Toby Grahovec held on, but just 0.2 of a second. But he is in second position. Dylan Matcham bringing the last year's champion car home in third position, having led the race, that car, for an good early part of the race. In TCR, we'll wait for them to come to the line, but it's very, very close indeed between the minor placings. And in fact, Lee Carpentier and Tanner Rumberg have changed positions. So let's see if, again, yes, and Pierre Kleineming's not that far away. Here come the two minis, and it will be Pombo Minor who comes across. It's pretty much side by side as they went across the stripe, and the timing screen confirms that it's the yellow from the red, which is Mark from Matt. I think it'll be Jason Raab who follows them home, although Derek Jones is only a second away when he went across the line. Still waiting for the TCRs. Oh, the 7, Tom Long TCR was cruising there, and he's not yet crossed the line. Has that car run out of fuel? I think it has. Drama on the last lap. Down on the back straight, the 74 car's going to come through first. Kuno Whitmer's going to win it. I can't see the 77 car. Tom Long has run out of fuel, I'm sure. And distraught pictures from inside the 77 as Kuno Whitmer confirmed the Compass Racing number 74 car has gone through. Roberto Sales and Kuno Whitmer for Compass Racing. It's got battery power, but it won't start.
Tanner Rumberg got past Lee Carpentier on the final lap.
And it was for second position. Lee Carpentier third. So that battle for third, and I can't believe it. It's the length of the back straight away from a famous victory from the 77.
That's cruel.
And the car is of gas. Well, well, well. That is cruel. He's in 5th position, and I think he'll be scored in 5th position in the class, so he will get some points because Ethan Lowe in the 11 car has taken the checkered flag laps down. Yeah. Oh my goodness me. Let's see if we can pick up some interviews from the TCR and ST class leaders. Not the 77 car, but the 74 has won it for Compass Racing. Just extraordinary scenes on the back straight with the 77 stranded and unable to move. The engine's turning over. There's clearly battery power and the starter's working, but it's not firing into life. So either it's not getting a spark to the engine or it's not getting any fuel. Let's go down to the pit lane, and Rodrigo Sales with I can only imagine the amount of differing emotions that have gone through Rodrigo's face in the last few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, how do you even put that into words? You're in second, and then all of a sudden, you've won the race. What are you feeling?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I feel bad for Tom and Britt. They drove a fantastic race. They're teammates, but at the same time, it's racing. Things like this happen. We've had a really rough weekend overall with challenges with the car. We didn't get any practice time. The car's actually, we lost our ABS halfway through the race. So just, you know, we had a flat tire. Just feels so good to win given all the adversity that we faced. So it's fantastic. And Kuno did an amazing job, absolutely amazing job. So
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm with Jared Selinsky in the 52 Mini JCW team. Jared, that was an exciting finish to that race.
Yeah, that was just an amazing drive by Mark Pombo. Really want to thank Lap Motorsports for giving us a fantastic, perfect car today. I want to thank my sponsors, Steady Returns, and Fuse Lenses, and Agape Diamonds, and just a great day for Minnie and a great day for the Pombo brothers. And yeah, I gave Mark the car he needed, and he did the rest.
I mean, this is a frantic race, isn't it? There's so much going on all the time. Compounded with that, we have this fantastic Sebring circuit. It must feel a major achievement to win here.
Yeah, this is my home track. I know this track really well. This track beats you up, but you know, as long as you can keep your car in one piece and hit your marks and keep the keep four wheels on, and that's what we did. We worked all weekend to set up the car right, and we didn't actually have the best setup, but it was good enough for me and Mark and Lap Motorsports and JCW Racing Team, and we did it.
Well done to you all. Enjoy the celebrations now.
Thank you so much.
Very calm and collected there from Jared Solinski.
Yeah.
I'd have been jumping up and down like a lunatic. Fantastic stuff. Really beautifully judged race by Roush Performance and Co Motorsports with Nate Stacey and Kyle Marcelli in that 60 car. They have converted, and the desperately bad luck from Tom Long right at the end there in that 77 Compass Audi. Shea Adam has been talking to the team and give us a little more news with this Continental Tire pit lane report.
He did not run out of fuel. There are 4 gallons left in the tank.
Oh,
There's some sort of fuel pickup issue.
Oh, that is even more frustrating. Quite remarkable that they could not get that car home. Literally the length of the back straight and the run to the flag from there. Sebring race circuit is so flat, it's not as if you can get it on the downhill. And that is such bad luck for the 77 team. You never want that to happen to anyone. But Casey Jr. did a great job early on for Compass Racing, and Tom Long was in the process of bringing it home. Tom Long's still in the car, by the way, just can't believe he's bad luck. Before we go, Jeremy, some unofficial points totals. Where would you like to start?
Yeah, let's start at in ST, should we? In ST, I think it's going to be Max Faulkner and Jason Rabe, who finished 3rd today, along with their 2nd place finish at Daytona. They should lead, I believe, by 1 point over Daytona's winners Nick Galante and Devin Jones. Today's winners, Mark Pombo and Jared Zielinski, will be 1 point further back in 3rd place. So 1 point between 1st and 2nd, 1 point between 2nd and 3rd.
Excellent.
And then Matt Pombo and Mike Lamar, they're only 2 points back as well. In TCR, 67 car, Jason Rodrigo Sales and Kuno Whitmer will lead the points. They were 2nd, and now today they will lead by 6 points over Britt Casey and Tom Long, who had that heartbreak on that final lap. In GS, well, no surprise there. Spencer Mapelli and Dylan McIvern with the 3rd place finisher add to their win. They will have 65 points over Toby Grahovic in car number 60. He got a new co-driver this weekend in Jason Clooney, but it'll be Grahovic in 2nd position behind McIvern and Pampelli. 3rd place will be James Clay and Tyler Cook, who finished 11th today, but still have enough in hand over Hugh Plum and Owen Trinkler.
And, well, action from start to finish there. And
unusual, huh?
Oh, well, it's every single race. A reminder that we'll be doing that again and reconvening for every single round of the IMSA Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, and with audio coverage of the early sessions and qualifying, and then the sound and vision brought together with IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. So whether you're in the US or further afield, we will be covering that. And if you've liked what you've seen today, please come back and join us again. My thanks to our Continental Tire pit lane team, Shea Adam and Diana Binks, for keeping across the action there. A couple of people who've had bad days today. Well, you've got to say Damien Faulkner won't be a very happy man. Problem at the back of that Mercedes that cost him certainly a top 6 and maybe better. They'd played the strategy pretty well. But Tom Long and the rest of the 77 Compass team, I don't even know what to say to those guys. Fuel in the tank, they couldn't get it. The person who will never admit to being even at Sebring for this race is Craig Lyons, who had the worst day at a racetrack of anybody I've ever seen. Off the track, managed to loop it on a on a wave by penalties, the whole lot. This is one for him to just strike from his memory. He's got to, right, reset, start again at the next one.
Yeah, you're right. Not the greatest day for those guys, but for Court Autosports and Roush Performance, just a brilliant performance there by Carl Marcelli. A great first stint by the youngster there, Nate Stacey, and it's Carl Marcelli who brings it home.
Oh, great stuff again in the Alan J Automotive Networks 120. Here at Sebring, the 3 3/4 mile circuit has done its best to break cars, and it's got the better of some of them. But Kyle Marcelli has brought home the number 60 Ford. Nate, his teammate, Nate Stacey, his teammate, started the Roush Performance Core Motorsports machine. Absolutely brilliantly done tactically and from the drivers. They deserved that victory. From Jeremy Shaw, myself, John Hindhaugh, and our Continental Tire pit lane reporters, Dinah Pinks and Shea Adam, it's bye from Sebring. Join us for the rest of the IMSA Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge season.